Hi, if you're watching, so this is actually the second time I did this talk. So originally the seminar I set up was on Saturday, and then some people got locked out because they were not on time, not on purpose, but then also just by the fate of the universe, I messed up the audio. So it was like 90 something minutes of video, and then somehow the audio wasn't there. So we're recording it again. So this one should actually be a little bit smoother. And then one huge thing happened this week. I don't know if you heard with like the GameStop stocks and everything. So I'll actually talk about that because that's a perfect segue to go into crypto. Okay, so I'll break the talk down into three parts, and all three are necessary. And I think the first part is by far the most important because if this part's not down, it won't matter. Okay, so the first part is actually going to be on basically your available resources or your energy as far as with finances, okay? So if it's not there, it's like a homeless person winning a lottery, just statistically within 3 years, like an extremely high percentage just file for bankruptcy, right? Because you could give them the money, but if the energy isn't right, you can't keep it. And then it's gonna be the same thing for this, okay? The second part, I'll talk a little bit about our economy. Not the boring part, right? I want to explain in a way so ideally, not that you or anyone else watching is like at a fifth grade level, but someone even at a fifth grade level should be able to get the concepts, because once you get that, it'll make a lot more sense why crypto and then why not some of these other assets I talk about. Okay, so let's actually start with the first part. So obviously I coach fitness, right? I own a gym for going on 7 years now, and I've been coaching fitness for about 9 years officially, and I've tried to help a lot of people start a diet, start working out, obviously get into self-development, and more recently like the energy work, and then it's the same thing across the board. It doesn't matter what kind of info I give them. There's some people that just seem like they're destined to be successful, and then some people not. Right? And it's not because of genetics, not because they have willpower or they're more motivated. It's literally because of how they experience that area of life. Okay, so for example, if you take me, right, even 15 years ago, you could have me start any workout program and I would probably do pretty well to really well at it and then find a way to make it work. Okay, because energetically, when I'm relating to fitness, I relate to it in a very resourceful and energetic way, okay? Whereas until recently, fairly recently, my experience with finances, especially accumulating and then building up like wealth, was not in an energetic place. So it just wasn't something that interested in me. Didn't matter how smart I was, how motivated, how dedicated I was. It wasn't really interesting to me. And in my experience before, when I was making a lot more money, I'll make a lot of money coming in, and then I would just end up spending it on other stuff. Just like whatever I made, I literally was making probably like 3 to 4 times what I'm making from my month-to-month take-home now, and I was living paycheck to paycheck. Okay, so just to give you an idea, like it's more how you experience things. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through an exercise. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I know most people are here for the finance and crypto part, and I just can't emphasize it enough. If you don't experience this in an energetic place, it's not going to work well. Okay, if money and finances comes easy for you, and this part you kind of tune out, but you're interested in what I have to say, money for relationship, for intimacy, for finding your purpose in life, sub it for something else, okay? But regardless, I'm gonna help you kind of get a feel for it, okay? So obviously you meditate, right? But for those of us that don't meditate, meditation is, if I had to simplify it, it's just the observing. Okay, so as opposed to identifying with your body, your thoughts, your emotions, or how you're perceiving the world, or even like this physical body that's here, there's an actual observer that you can use to observe everything. Okay, so for example, right now if you think about money, okay, and this is a question for you, okay? How do you experience money when I ask you the concept of it? Do you see an image of it? Is it like a feeling? Is it like a bank vault? Is it like a cartoon? Like, what's your actual experience of it?
An energy field.
Okay, so you experience it as an energy field. Okay, so it's moving around.
It's just here, all around.
Okay, and it's all around. Okay, and then there's a observer that's actually observing that. Okay, and then is it kind of outside of you or in front of you?
The money itself?
Yeah.
It's all around.
So it's kind of like a, okay.
Like a field
Okay.
of energy.
And then so it's moving first?
Yeah, it's vibrating, but it's fully present.
Okay, so is it a feeling first? Do you experience a movement first, or do you actually see like an image or a moving
In this
image?
case, I see the image.
Okay, so you see the image first. Okay.
I sense the image of the energy vibration.
Okay. And then as you're sensing it, right, there is a you that's actually observing that, right? So obviously you're experiencing money, you're actually observing that, okay? So if we switch it, okay, let me get a little personal. If we switch it to father, okay, when you're experiencing father, what's your experience of that?
How do I feel inside myself?
Just your concept of father.
When you say father, I feel more
Yeah.
small inside.
Yeah, so I can feel that. Okay, so it becomes like more of like it's not moving anymore.
Right.
Okay, so it's just like boom, and it's like right here in the middle of your chest.
Yeah.
And how does that feel?
Very restricted
Yeah.
and constricted.
Yeah, okay, like that, right? It doesn't feel good. So it actually feels like it's hard for me to breathe, okay? And then we could pick something more like, what about like dancing?
It's a very vibrant, open field that's
Okay.
vibrating with more color and energy.
So vibrating, open field, and then about where is it? If you had to like,
It's coming from here all around.
okay. What about your dog? What about Chloe?
Oh, I feel it so warm in my heart. But
Okay.
just growing, but close to me. But
Okay.
warm in my heart.
Okay, and it's like a warm feeling. Okay, so based on what I'm bringing up, right, and your concept of it, there's a different experience with it. Okay, so and then you do a lot of this stuff, so you're aware of it, right? But every concept you actually have you could call it a subconscious, even though it's not quite the same thing. I'm going to use these words like, interchangeably, even though it's not the same thing. Your subconscious, your energetic experience with it, your resourcefulness with that stuff. Okay, so like for example, if I had to give an example for me right now, if I'm thinking of cryptocurrency, right? Crypto itself, right? It's like out about here, and it's more just like a feeling. I can't pinpoint it, but it's kind of floating around out there, which is actually a good spot for me. Whereas when I think about irritation, okay, like just being irritated that people, which is obviously not very energizing, right? Where people just are too asleep to just do things the right way. It's very, very judgmental, right? I can actually feel that come in, and then it feels like it's starting from the back of my head, and then boom, into like the middle of the chest, okay? I'm gonna just end with that here, but just know like whatever you think about, you could try different things, okay? Relationship, how does that experience compare to, say, money, okay? And then we're gonna go to money specifically. If I ask you money, what's your experience of it?
Actual currency?
Like money, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. As I just felt it, I
Yeah.
felt it in my heart and then going down into my root.
Okay, so actually kind of tied into where you were experiencing father, right? Now, what if it was not money, but it was like an igniter of opportunity?
Oh, then I feel the energy coming
Right.
from the root and like.
Okay, so even changing linguistics change your experience of it, right? Or what if it wasn't your money, it was the universe's money, and you were just a custodian of it? What is that experience?
What that experience is again, it's that field, but there's a direct link into me.
Okay.
And it feels good. And what's interesting about that, I was reflecting as you were sharing your experience, that when you asked me about the first, what did you say at first? Was it
Money, then an igniter of opportunity.
well, the first one,
Yeah.
I felt the field, but I didn't
Yeah.
feel the connection inside myself.
Yeah, yeah,
And I noticed with my dog, I felt the connection. With the dancing, I felt
Yeah.
the connection. And then just when you had me switch the words for
Yeah.
currency, I
Yeah.
felt the field and
Yeah.
the connection.
yeah.
So that was wonderful.
Right, so perfect. So I don't know if you guys can hear on the camera, but what she was saying just as I was changing the different ways of experiencing something, she could feel the flow differently, right? One was more energetic, one was less energetic. She could just feel it shift, okay? So what we did here was we made the unconscious, right? So you're already doing this, right? Conscious, and once there's a consciousness about or awareness of it, rather than go into the circumstance, right? If you hear like law of attraction, manifestation, all that stuff, right? It's not the circumstance. It's literally your energetics or resourcefulness that's actually attracting the circumstance, or even if it's a circumstance that could be positive, depending on where you're at, you're going to perceive it a certain way, right? Like with enough light, a trauma becomes a gift, okay? So some books, which takes a different approach to this, but you could look into that'll actually help you out. One is Secret of a Millionaire's Mind. By T. Harv Eker, I think. And it helps you explore basically your relationship with money. Is it tied into like corruption? Do you deserve it? Is it something like you learned growing up in your family that having money is bad, or like you don't, or money equals love, and then like you're using it actually to get love? Like it actually helps you explore all that stuff. Okay, for more of a subconscious, not so much like energy, but it ultimately all ties in together. Okay, so a great way to get started on that. If you want to find out more about the Observer, I'm going to list 2 books by Michael Singer. So the name's Michael Singer. I might have spelled his name wrong. So the first one is Untethered Soul. And then especially the first, I think, chapter or 2, but where he's describing the Observer. It's one of the most eloquent and just real embodiments of this Observer that I was talking about. The rest of the book was pretty good, but I don't actually really remember it. Okay, it was a good book, but the only thing I remember for the rest of the book was that he strongly emphasized that what actually had the most power was love. And I thought it was kind of woo-woo at the time, and like now, like 4 or 5 years later, it's true, right? Like love has way more energy than any other emotion. And like when you're coming from a place of love to impact the world, you have the most resources available, okay? Now, and I'm actually about done with this book. His other book, not newer, is called The Surrender Experiment. Okay, and the Surrender Experiment, it's definitely going to be an all-time like top 3 favorite book. Might even be the #1 book. He basically talks about how he one day had a realization that there's an observer, and then his whole thing was just he wanted to meditate and just basically shun his worldly self and just meditate and get peace. And then at some point he realized to just surrender to whatever comes up in life and just allow life to guide him. And he ended up being he ended up starting a company that got merged, or they acquired or merged with WebMD. So he ended up being the CEO of that company. And then when it was with WebMD, he was actually like the executive chairman. Ended up closing like a multi-billion-dollar deal. Like didn't even care about money, but then money just kept coming to him because he kept surrendering to like the intricacies of life. And it's just like this like beautiful journey and story. And I think part of the reason why I could really connect to it is that if I looked at like the last 6 years of my life, there was a lot of resistance to what life brought up. And if I surrendered faster, it would have caused myself a lot less frustration and pain, but also I could have made a bigger difference. And that's part of what I had already kind of decided to do more recently, is just to surrender to whatever life is requiring of me. And then to actually see a guy who did it 30 years before me, 40 years before me, and then got to accomplish the stuff he accomplished and make a difference in people's lives. It's like awesome. Okay, so highly recommend Surrender Experiment. And these are 3 books if you're interested in. Okay, and obviously I could talk about this stuff for days, but we're just going to end it there. And then we're going to move on to the second part, which is our economy. Okay.